Hello and welcome to Coffee with Jenny B. It's conversations over coffee. It's about community, connections, what brings me joy, and everything in between. I'm your host, Jenny Sackleback. When you think about your parents as a child, they helped to coach you to take that first step, to learn how to ride the bicycle. Thinking about coaches in school, on a sports team, maybe even a coach who was helping you with your homework as a tutor, or perhaps someone who's a mentor. Although there really is a difference between a coach and a mentor. You know, coaches tend to be on a one-time thing versus mentors tend to continue. But I kind of disagree with that because I think you can be a coach and a mentor at the same time. I know personally for myself, I've had many coaches throughout my life. Every coach who has helped me from when I was a child, through school, and even as an adult, we all need someone who is that coach in the corner, who's helping us with whatever we need. And I feel that I'm a better person because of all the coaching that I've had throughout my life. My guest today is also someone who's had experience with coaching and who also has experience as a teacher. And again, teachers are also coaches, if you think about it. His name is Joey Crampton. He is a CPA. He is also an instructor at the University of Winnipeg teaching financial fundamentals. Please help me welcome Joey. Hey, Joey.
Hi, Jenny. Happy to be here.
I'm glad you're here. So I'm really pleased that, you know, the first time I met you was actually at the University of Winnipeg PACE, and we, you know, started chatting, and, you know, the fact that you teach financial fundamentals, I teach event fundamentals, fundraising fundamentals. So it's really the basics of, you know, teaching our students and giving them what they need to start. And everyone needs that start place. How did you get started with teaching?
One day I was on the CPA website looking at what the job postings were, and there was a posting for the University of Winnipeg instructors, and I never really saw myself as a teacher, but it said, you know, we're looking for people with industry experience, and at that point I had 20 plus years experience as a CPA. And I thought, you know, what a great opportunity to give back to my community and to give back for all the people, all the coaches, all the people that helped me in my life, you know, to do that for some other people. And so, yeah, it's just been you know, it was different challenge at the beginning because it was COVID and, you know, it was online, but it's been a wonderful journey. It really has.
I can imagine how it felt because I too, I mean, I didn't start during COVID, but I had that experience during COVID teaching online, and it's certainly different from teaching in person because you don't really get that energy and you don't really get that one-on-one experience with, you know, teaching online. Now, teaching international students, I can imagine teaching finance to, you know, people who are from Canada, but how challenging can it be, or how different is it teaching international students the basic fundamentals of finance?
Yeah, it's definitely a different challenge. I also teach kind of like an intro to math. That's like a morning, and that teaches people the basics of like the numbering, the Western sort of numbering system if they're not used to it. Mm-hmm. So that gives them a bit of that. And then, you know, it's really interesting because so many people come into that class and go, I never did good at math. I hate math, right? And I'm like, it's okay. It's okay because in financial fundamentals, there's nothing beyond sort of like grade 4 or 5 math.
Oh.
So I'm like, if you can do basic addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, mm-hmm. you're okay. And I always kind of see you know, okay, Joey's got me, right? I've had some students, you know, say to me like, I always thought this was way more complicated. You've broken it down in such a way that it's easy to understand, to the point of even one person, there was a couple from, 2 people from Nigeria that were sitting beside each other one time. And one was a lawyer in Nigeria and the other one was, I think in human resources or something. So they were both very highly educated professionals, and they were literally angry at their professor from from university. They were like, "Why did they make this so complicated? This is actually so easy." And I'm like, "Yeah, well, I don't know what to tell you." But anyway, so those are some of the interesting, unique, I think, challenges to working with international students, and it's always fun and interesting, right? Getting different perspectives, and I love it.
No, that's wonderful. You know, I just remembered one of my students who's from China, and he was talking about how his daughter, I think she was 10, she would say to her dad, you know, "I hate math." And one of their projects or one of the presentations was to talk about a problem solution idea. And he decided that he was going to talk about the problem, which is that children either don't understand math, and so if they don't understand it, then they end up hating it, and they don't want to do it. Right. And so his solution was to try and make it fun. So he thought about, well, maybe playing games with her to get her to interact with her. And then talk about, you know, the basics, you know, using, you know, fruit or, you know, whatever it is to really break down the idea that it doesn't need to be as complicated. You know, I'm sure that you're not using fruit and everything with your classes, but do you tend to play some games with them just to kind of get them to relax and think about, you know, the idea that, you know, math and numbers can be fun?
Not so much games, but what I do try to do is really relate it to actual business. So you know, I'll say, you know, what kind of company have you worked for in the past, and you know, here's some of the ways that accounting concepts apply to that particular business. Or I really try to weave in a lot of my personal experience of like, why is this number important? Why are we doing this? Why are we tracking this? Because you know, it really, you know, when it's just concepts, it's very difficult to grasp, right? When you can make it real and you can say, you know, it's fruit. There's 3 oranges and 2 apples. There's 5. You know, that it becomes a lot easier to grasp, right? So I try to make it, graspable, if that's a word.
We'll take it.
That's my intention anyway.
No, I love that because it really helps to, you know, demystify the idea of math and the idea that, you know, as soon as you get into it, it's like, oh my gosh, you know, I can't do this. And it's that can't right away that stops you from, you know, trying, right? And so when I think about your experience as a teacher and, you know, that revolves into the idea of coaching, because basically as a teacher, you're coaching your students, you're helping them to, you know, okay, you can do this, you know, giving them that encouragement and praise when they actually get it right. And, you know, sharing those aha moments, right? So how does it feel in terms of your experience as a coach?
Yeah, great question, Jenny. I think that I definitely agree with you that coaching and teaching, for me anyway, weave together really well, and I know they do for you as well. I love bringing coaching concepts into the classroom. One of the things I really like to start with at the beginning of the course is, you know, your why. Why are you here?
Okay, yeah.
You know, and I tell my students that, you know, this is going to get more difficult. You know, we know that the PACE program is for a lot of the students is compacted.
It is.
It can become overwhelming. A lot of students do get overwhelmed in different stages of it, right? And so I say, you know, when you get to that point, when it's 10 o'clock at night and you still need to keep working because you haven't finished an assignment or something, I think that's when it's really good to remember your why. You know, why are you doing this? And it's almost inevitably for these international students, I'd say over 90%, the answer is, I want to build a better life for my family.
Right.
And what could be more motivating than that, right? You know, connecting with, we were talking earlier about children and and grandchildren, and what could be more motivating than, you know, providing a life for them and opportunities for them. And so to me, when I think about it, I think, well, will I finish that assignment? If it's for building a better future for my family, sure, I'll finish it, right?
Right.
And so, yeah, it's staying connected with that. I think that's a really coaching fundamental to me is your why. Why are you here? What's your passion? You know, and then I bring in a lot of additional pieces around, yeah, just motivation, sticking with it, and not getting caught up in, you know, we talked about the negativity that's for some people surrounds math, and just kind of being able to question that and say, well, wait a second, like, am I really bad at math, or, you know, have I just struggled with it in the past? And so what I like to say around that is language is very important, and I know you agree with this as well.
Yes.
And so let's change the narrative there from I hate math or I'm not good at math to I'm working on getting better at math. And when you change that narrative, when those words change like that, I think your brain function actually starts changing and going, well, okay, I'm working on this. I'm not perfect at it yet. But as soon as you say you hate it or you're not good at it, you don't do it, right? But if you're working on getting better at it, then you're like, oh no, I'm working at getting better at it. And maybe I'll never be perfect. And maybe I don't even want to be perfect, but I'm working on it, right? I'm getting better. And I think that's a huge shift for people. And I feel like that's a gift that was given to me from one of my coaches. And so love to pass that one on. That's a big one.
You know, it's interesting you mentioned the word can't, because I go to a gym, and I've been going to the gym now, it's about a year and a half. And I try to go every morning. And recently I've been dealing with a situation where I haven't been going as often, and now I have to modify and think about what I'm doing. And I remember one time I was doing something, I can't remember what it was, and my coach came by and she said, what's the issue? And I said, I can't do this. And she said, yes, you can. If the weights are too heavy, drop the weights. And if you can't have weights, put the weights aside and then just do it. And that was the one and only time that I said the word can't at the gym. What I do though, and she'll come by and she'll see, and she'll say, she'll tell somebody, you need to increase the weight, and she'll actually give them a heavier weight, drop the weight, do this, your stances, so constantly monitoring what everybody is doing and offering that encouragement, and their motto is you versus you. So there's no competition with anybody else. It doesn't matter what anybody else is doing. Don't even look at what anybody else is doing. Think about what you need to do in that moment. And I remember this morning, actually, we were having to lift the med ball, like the big heavy ball. So we had to lift it up and then slam it down, and we're kneeling. And I could tell this is really struggling. At one point I stopped and she said, okay, stop that, just do donkey kicks. Put your hands down, kick your feet up in the air, and just give your back a little bit of that relaxation and that ease. So as a coach, as a mentor, as a teacher, whatever you want to call the person who's in your life, who's guiding you to become better at what you're doing, is someone that you're relying on. And they're in your corner, they're behind your back, they've got you, and you feel protected, you feel safe, you feel encouraged that yes, there's someone who actually, even if no one else in the world believes in me, I have at least one person who believes in me, who wants me to succeed. And for that reason, I'm going to keep going.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that's a really big part of a coaching relationship. I often say to people, it's not just about the sessions when we're chatting. It's not just about, the actual conversations. It's about knowing that someone is in your corner and that you have that person has your best interests at heart and really is going to stand up for your bigger dream, right? Even sometimes when you forget your bigger dream, right? And they remind you and they go, wait a second, didn't you say you wanted to, grow your company? Or didn't you say you wanted to, save up money for a trip to France, or I don't know, whatever it is, right? But sometimes we forget. We get so focused on the day-to-day that we forget our bigger dream, and having somebody to remind us of that in those moments that are more difficult is incredibly powerful and valuable. And yeah, I think I totally agree. And isn't that just wonderful for you in the gym to have somebody like that who can call you out when you say can't?
Yep.
And that is your coach sounds wonderful.
Oh my gosh, yes. And I was looking for the gym and I tried different ones and I looked at different ones and they just weren't jiving with me. I just felt that they wanted, well, first of all, there's the money aspect, of course, right? They also wanted more of me than I was willing to give. Now, that's not to say that couldn't have been an encouragement for me to say, hey, I can offer to do this and we can do this. But for some reason, it just didn't sit well with me. And I remember the gym that I'm going to right now. It was Good Friday, 2024. I guess it would have been 2024, right?
Okay.
And they were having just a free, hey, come in the afternoon and try it out. I thought, you know what, sure, I'll show up. And I did it and I loved it. It was such a great experience. And just the experience of, her as the coach and, Michelle and just everything. And I said, I absolutely love it. And she said, who'd you come with? And I said, no one, I just came by myself, And she's like, oh, okay. And so she offered 3 free classes. I think I did 2 and I'm like, that's it, I'm in. And it was just, I don't know, because we do circuit training, but it was just the vibe that I got, the feeling of community and connection and everything that I talk about for myself, right? But it was something that really spoke to me. And I said, you know what, I'm committed to doing this. And to date, I think I've done, I want to say 230 workouts.
Oh my goodness.
Since I started.
Wow.
So, I mean, that's commitment.
That is commitment, yeah. It also sounds like they met you where you're at, right?
Oh, yeah.
And which is a big part of coaching as well. From what I hear you saying, Jenny, it's some of those other gyms were maybe just kind of at a different spot than you were, either ahead of you or behind you, or just sort of like maybe at a different angle, or however you want to describe it.
Mm-hmm.
But when you went there, they were like, okay, well, we're going to meet you where you're at. It's you versus you, not you versus anyone else. And that, so, that is a big part of coaching too. For me anyway, it's not about any specific sort of structure that, you should be at step 3 now, and you should be at step 4 now, and 3 days later, you really need to be at step 5. It's not about that. It's about meeting you where you're at, discovering what your challenges are, and like helping you work through those, and really a deeper understanding of yourself, which is very similar to that you versus you, right? It really is about understanding your own psyche and what motivates you, and obviously you're motivated. 230 sessions, that's impressive.
It is. And and 7 o'clock, first thing in the morning, I'm out, I do it, and I'm done. And it really sets up the rest of the day.
Yeah. It sounds like it really, really works for you. I had the benefit of, I did kickboxing for about 12, 13, 14 years, a long time. Yeah.
Okay.
With a local coach in the city here. She's a 3-time world champion boxer that nobody really knows about, because women's boxing is not, unfortunately, very well known. But anyway, it was a similar thing. I found my groove with her. I loved the fun of it. She was always creating different workouts, always challenging us in different ways. And of course, once you've gone for a while, and you've probably experienced this already, your coach knows where you should be at.
Oh yeah.
Right? And when you're kind of dogging it, when you're kind of not working up to your potential, they know how to give you that little nudge, right? Mm-hmm. And she always did that for me, and I really, really, appreciated that, and just loved it. And the community that was in the classes became I call them my gym family.
Yes.
I had a couple of alternate dads, guys that were older than me, and I had a couple of sisters, and it was really a great community for me. I love the gym experience too, the community part of it. Yeah, and that motivated me, right? I was like, oh no, I need to go, because I want to see my friends, I want to see my gym family, right? And there was many times when after the class, I would find myself chatting with one of them for sometimes a long time, like, over an hour kind of thing.
Right.
And then, I go home and we're like, well, wasn't the class over at noon? And like, no, yeah,
We were chatting.
Yeah, we were chatting, and it's 2 o'clock now. And right. So yeah, that was a big part of it for me, because I really felt like I belonged and I was welcomed into that community.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
It's funny because when I wasn't going to the gym because of my situation, my coach Michelle, she messaged me, and she said, like, we really miss you and we miss your energy and we can't wait till you come back. And even others like sending me text messages like, hey, miss you at the gym. I wish hope you come back. And just that feeling that you're not just a number, you're not just another person at the gym. It's that people actually care about you, and they care about, and even we've had situations where, one of our gym members has lost a parent. And right away, we're just like, we're collecting money. We're, everybody here sign the card. We're going to send flowers. We're going to, gift card, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But everybody, and even with the wildfires that are going on right now, I mean, Michelle organized, hey, everybody, can you bring whatever you need? And so, everybody bringing, food drives, whatever it is, everybody contributes. Everybody is a part of what's going on. And again, it's that feeling of family. We're here together, and because we can help others, we're going to do that. So in a sense, we're all sort of our own little coaches, if you will.
Yeah. And it just brings this group accountability that you really can't replicate without community, right? We keep coming back to community, but that really is what it's about. And it's that care and that feeling of being cared for.
Yes.
Right? Obviously these texts and these reach outs to you give you that feeling of being cared for. And what better feeling is there, really, right? That other people care about us and that take the time out of their day to send us a note or give us a call or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
We were talking earlier about my trusted advisor group that I work with, and actually something very similar just happened. One of our members, so it's a small group of business professionals that service businesses, and as I was telling you, we're all sort of on our own, right? We're solo entrepreneurs for the most part, and so I said, well, why don't we get together on a regular basis, on a monthly basis, and support each other, help each other, through some of the things that we're struggling with. And it's been wonderful. It's I think it's about 18 months now that we've been doing this, and we meet monthly. And anyway, one of the a lawyer that's in our group, she lost one of her parents, and one of the other members last meeting was like, you know what, we should really send some flowers.
Yeah.
And everyone immediately was like, of course, yes, we definitely need to do that. And so, and then, to get the email saying, receive the flowers, thank you all so much, that kind of thing. It's just like this kind of like
family.
Yeah, family, and it just creates this virtuous circle kind of thing of like, you give love and you give caring, and then you receive love and you receive caring. Again, what could be better than that, right?
Well, nothing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it really is truly at the core of what humans want, right? At the basic needs of humans is to belong, right?
Well, oh my gosh, to belong, to be valued, to be seen. Because sometimes we don't see people, we're so busy in life that, we forget. And, I want to go back to a little bit to our students in a sense that, yes, we're giving them the fundamentals, we're giving them the information that they need for their courses and for their programs and classes and so on. But sometimes being there for them as, and you mentioned trusted advisor, in a sense, we are that trusted advisor where if someone is struggling, we can reach out, we can say, hey, I'm here for you if you need to talk. If you're struggling with assignments, we can extend the deadline, whatever it is.
Right.
Being there for them more than just I'm here to teach you, but I'm also here as your coach, as your supporter, so that trusted advisor again.
Yeah, I agree. I love, I always tell my students, connect with me on LinkedIn. I try to, if I see job postings that I think might apply to them, I'll share them, that kind of thing. So Financial Fundamentals is a course that's a required course in almost every career avenue through PACE, right?
Right.
Whether you're going into human resources, IT, marketing, whatever it is, right? And so why did they do that, right? Why do they do that? Well, because if you're going to be a manager of a human resources department or a marketing department or an IT department, you need to understand the finances of it, right?
Right.
In most roles, you probably will have to have some finance. And so I say, in order to be effective at that as that manager, then let's get you some financial knowledge, right? And then also, if you want to eventually end up in the boardroom, then you're also going to need financial knowledge. You're going to be sitting around the boardroom, and there's going to be financial reports in front of you, and you want to be able to contribute, right?
Absolutely.
And to that contribute point, I love for the international students, I like to say, as a community, I think we all benefit from having these diverse perspectives in places like the boardroom.
Yes.
And so as a motivation thing for them, I say, actually, I believe that we need more diverse voices in our boardrooms across our city and across our province and across our country.
Yes.
And so I want you all to be in the boardrooms, right? in the next 5-10 years or whatever it might be for each of them, right? Some of them are ready right away. They've probably been on boards already because we know that a lot of those students have incredible credentials even before they start with PACE.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Right? But yeah, and a few of my students have come back to me and said, that really struck me as something that, that we want, to strive for, right? And then I see them at networking events. I bring them out, or I encourage them to come to Creative Mornings. I encourage them to come to Tech Thursdays. I encourage them to get involved with their communities, and I think we all benefit. They benefit. We benefit as a community. And again, it's back to that virtuous circle, right? It just everybody benefits. So. Yeah. And they find jobs too. That's the thing.
They do.
Right? When they start getting involved, I've seen it happen over and over and over again. Like, don't sit at home and fill out resumes and send them in. They don't know who you are. They don't know, what your skills are. Well, they might from your resume, but they just can't connect with you. And Winnipeg, as you know, is very much about who do you know?
Who do you know? Yeah.
Yeah, right. And so if you know them and you've shaken their hand and you've had a conversation with them, you're at the top of the list now because they're like, oh, I know who Jenny is, and she's great, and I want to, spend more time with her, right? And there's her qualifications. Okay, yeah, great. And then and then all of a sudden you got an internship, or you got a part-time job or a full-time job. Yeah, it's huge.
It is huge. Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know what? This has been such a lovely conversation, and I love learning more about your experience as, a coach, as a teacher, as someone who's a trusted advisor, and just, the value that you bring to your students, not just through teaching them math, but also just being there for them and, encouraging them and just being that coach in the corner that they need.
Oh, thank you so much. It's my pleasure, and it's my pleasure doing those things. As you know, this work is so fulfilling.
It is.
And beyond the monetary, it gives. I know we're in the exact. I'm speaking for you, but I don't think I'm speaking out of turn, that we do this because it makes us feel so good to be giving back and to be creating community and to see those students come back and say nice things or see the success that they're having in getting jobs and making impact on their communities. I mean, it's just lovely, right? So
it is lovely, and it just leaves you with that feeling that we've made a difference in their lives.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you again, Joey.
Thank you.
This has been Coffee with Jenny B on the Multicultural channel. I'm your host, Jenny Sakovac.